Hey, welcome to Business Computing Weekly. This is episode number 342, recorded Sunday, December the 11th, 2011. And we are sponsored by our friends at GFI Software and by FrugalBrothers.com. And we've got a sale going on right now through the end of the month, 25% off of any new license, any add-on license, or version upgrade of GFI Mail Archiver. It's good through the end of the month. Check it out. It's a new version, by the way, Mail Archiver 2011, version R3. So check that out. Hey, our topics today include the WebOS goes open source. Blue Coat is sold for $1.3 billion. Samsung gets to start selling their Galaxy Tabs in Australia. And AT&T claims blocking their merger with T-Mobile is going to cause higher prices. All that and more on this week's edition of Business Computing Weekly. Alrighty, and hey, thanks so much for joining us today. It's always nice having everybody here and with us today as we record the this video cast, as I like to call it. And just to kind of bring some folks up to date on some of the things we're doing around here is, number one, if you own an Xbox, you already know that, or should know that there's been a massive update to the Xbox user interface, and it's very much now what a Windows Phone 7 looks like. I guess it's Metro interface that they're using now. I got it installed, and I had to re-add my apps that I had installed before, such as Netflix, Hulu, etc. I don't know if you had the same experience or not. It seems to be a bit faster than the old Xbox version, and actually the upgrade went through pretty quickly, so I'm real pleased about that. Also, been taking a lot of video with my iPhone 4, and I think a lot of us use our smartphones to take videos with. It's always with you, right? And so that makes them so much handier. But you know what? As hard as you try, taking care of the shake that you get when you hold the cam and you're taking your videos, whoops, got the microphone there, can be a problem. And you know, I of course I'm a Mac user and a PC user both, and also I have Linux running in a virtual machine. I've used iMovie, and they do have image stabilization, and really all it amounts to is zooming in on the frame. Being the more you zoom in, the less of the obvious shake you're going to see, and it sort of kind of works, but it's not that great. Well, I've seen a demo of a product for the PC only, by the way, and it is called Mercalli Easy, Mercalli Easy, and this thing is phenomenal. And I've seen a demonstration of it. It's something like 14 or 15 bucks, but you basically import your movie into it, and it will analyze the video, and it does a fantastic job with image stabilization. So if you shoot a lot of video with your smartphone, this product looks like it would be an awesome thing to do. Now, bear in mind, you can't really do a lot of video editing in this software. Okay, just trim the video, the beginning or the end of it, and that's pretty much it. But it's really fully automatic. You can watch it go through and do the analysis. But the demonstration I've seen of it was nothing short of amazing. So for 15 bucks, if you do shoot a lot of videos out and about with your smartphone, there's nothing, of course, that ruins a video more than just sitting there watching it shaking. You know, it makes you seasick watching the thing. So check it out. And again, it's let me see how that's spelled again. The Mercalli I think it's MERCALLI, Easy Video Stabilizer, and it's like I said, it's like 14 or 15 bucks. And finally, just bringing everybody up to date on what we're doing now, we are using the Canon GL1 to do the show today, and it's a it's a nice camera, and it does a good job. Okay, let's see if we can get, there we go. We change shots here a little bit. It does a pretty nice shot. It's older, and it's certainly not capable of HD video or anything like that. So I've been thinking, rather than buying another camcorder, really what I want to get is a DSLR that takes great video. And that's a recommendation of Dizzy Doug. Probably a lot of you guys know Dizzy Doug. He does some webcasting and so forth. Recommended to me the Canon TI3 or a Canon TI2. I think the TI2 is less expensive than the 2, but it doesn't have the articulating LED display on it that the TI3 does. But it takes absolutely drop-dead gorgeous 1080p video, in addition to being, a DSLR with interchangeable lenses, all that. And they're in the $750 to $800 price range, depending where you shop at. And I'm putting this on my wish list for next year. I think that I might be able to find one refurbished somewhere. But I won't buy any camera now. Absolutely no camera unless it's brand new or refurbished with full factory warranty. I've kind of been down the path of used gear in that direction, and it's just too much money to risk on a used device per se. So that's something that we want to look forward to getting somewhere in the near future, is the Canon TI3 DSLR. And one of the things I like about it is that it can use all the different Canon lenses. I do have an iPhone 4, and I use it a lot for snapshots, and I think most people do in this day and age, because you always have your phone with you. I don't qualify for the upgrade to the 4S until March, and with the iPhone 5 being just a few months down the road, that's probably when I'll upgrade when the iPhone 5 comes out. I have not ruled out Android phones at all by any chance. I don't know. Maybe my next phone will be an Android phone. There's certainly some real appeal there on some of it. So we'll check it out. But the iPhone 5 will probably be introduced next summer. One other thing. Recently, and by recently I mean I think a few weeks ago, I happened to catch a little bit of another webcaster show talking about the great hard drive shortage that's really starting to hit home now. We're starting to see big time delays. If you want an iMac, if you want one with a 2 terabyte drive, you're at a 5 to 6 week waiting list to get that machine because of the shortage of drives. Lenovo is altering different laptops they got now, putting 5400 RPM drives in instead of the original spec'd out 7200 RPM drives. All this being the direct result of flooding in Thailand, where several companies, including Western Digital, have a lot of suppliers that make everything from the motors, platters, etc. over in Thailand. Now, I have a theory. I don't really believe it's a theory. I was trying to make the point in the chat room that I think that although there's no doubt the flooding was real, as to the ability to continue to meet demand, because number one, we know that PC demand in general is a little bit down. And we know this. You can look at any of the trends out there and just see that the demand for desktop PCs are down. We see that the demand for laptops are although increasing, still the whole market for desktops and laptops are down a little bit. And I put forth that we are being pushed into getting SSDs. Now, the reason being very obviously that the profit margin on an SSD is much higher than on a mechanical hard drive. Byte for byte, it's much more profitable to sell SSDs. There's something, this is a great opportunity for manufacturers to get people to begin to transition over SSDs. And as to the actual extent of the marketplace to meet demand for 1 and 2 terabyte or greater hard drives, yeah, I'm of the opinion that there's still enough capacity to meet existing demand, I should say, and that it is my opinion that what we are actually seeing is a deliberate holdback on ramp up of production and getting these facilities online in order, because you'll see hard drives of the price going up, therefore making greater the cost of SSDs more appealing and getting people used to a higher price point now for storage. And is it a conspiracy? I don't think so. I think it is there's a sound business case on their end. Linux Cipher says, where are SSD hard drives manufactured, though? A lot are manufactured in Korea and in Taiwan. The mechanical hard drives, motors, platters, and all that are manufactured in Thailand. Okay, so Ram Francis UK has joined the chat room. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. SSD drives, I think we are being pushed in that direction. This was a great opportunity for manufacturers because the profit margin per byte is substantially higher on SSD than hard drives. That's my position that I take on it. Audio is very cracky, you say? Well, let's back that down a little bit. We'll see if that makes an improvement. Well, that's interesting. We haven't changed much on the board, so I don't know what might be going on. Is it better now? I just backed it down a little bit. Maybe if I sit back from the microphone just a smidge. See if that helps. But anyhow, that's my case on there. I'd like to get your opinion. Do you think this is a conspiracy on HHD drives versus, okay, no more cracking. Okay. Is it conspiracy? I don't know. My opinion is a smart business move on drive manufacturers to get us to begin transitioning over to SSDs. Right now, of course, you can't beat the storage per dollar, the gigabyte per dollar of hard drives, traditional hard drives. I think that's what's going on. I think that the market is trying to get average consumers used to the idea of looking at the SSD. You won't find a shortage of those. You won't find a shortage of those. Okay? But you will begin, and it's going to get significantly worse, particularly between February of next year, through about summer. That's what they're saying, between February and summer. But here's the interesting point. To take it one step further, they're saying now the market won't recover, manufacturing capacity won't be fully recovered until 2013. So there you have it. And by the way, all your cloud providers out there are absolutely in a tizzy because they buy tremendous amounts of hard drive. In fact, the manufacturers are making sure their supplies, to like the Rackspaces of the world, the Googles of the world, Amazon, these guys, that their demand for hard drives is running current. Got a comment in the chat room from Linux Lifer. I had to call Dell for replacement hard drive, and they couldn't even sell me an SSD to go into a server. They couldn't sell you an SSD. Is that because they're running short, or they didn't have an SSD that would work? Because I'm sure that they're seeing a huge uptick in the demand and sale of SSDs right now. Just waiting on his response on that before we continue for the rest of the show. There we go. That's a good way to handle my coffee mug. No, they said due to the shortages, we can't sell any hard drives. Whoa. Due to the shortages, we cannot sell any hard drives, and they then referred me to a third-party reseller. Oh, wow. So they're basically trying to keep their pipeline of hard drives in place and on track for new computers that are being shipped. And so that's kind of interesting. Apparently your machine was not in warranty. See, and I think that's going to be when SSDs really take off when they can ship them with 1 terabyte and do it affordably. But they're going to get people used to the much higher prices of HHD or of, conventional hard drives. Like I said, I was accused in this particular chat room of promoting a conspiracy theory. I based what I say on hard numbers, and I understand the motivations of these guys, and it's to what? Turn a profit, make money for their stockholders and their investors. SSDs, more profit, 4 megabyte or gigabyte than a standard hard drive. The shortage, I think, is being over-exaggerated by manufacturers to drive up prices, make SSDs more comparable and more of an option. That's my take. Now this is Dell Canada, but I'm assuming it has nothing to do with it. His computer is no longer under warranty, right? Because they've got orders for new computers and they're needing every hard drive they can get their hands on. Kind of an interesting way of doing things. We're seeing a lot of action now with the Kindle Fire tablet device. Of course, the iPad continues to do well. HP didn't do so well with their entry into the tablet computing space. So much so that and you understand, they paid $1.3 billion, I believe that's what the price, to Palm Computing to buy WebOS. And, Palm actually did a nice job. If you've ever seen a device actually running WebOS, it's no stretch to say that it's really a nice operating system. It is a modified Linux kernel. Palm, unfortunately, just flat ran out of cash in order to promote WebOS successfully, and Hewlett Packard paid $1.2 billion to purchase the rights to the WebOS and also pick up the team that was responsible for it. Now, they didn't meet a lot of success in the tablet space, and as we all remember, a few months back there was this massive fire sale of the HP TouchPad tablet devices. All right, so that was I'm going to use the term a cluster, and you can leave the other word to your imagination, but it worked out to be a big cluster for Hewlett Packard. It ended up costing Leo Apotheker his job as CEO of HP. Now they've replaced Leo with Meg Whitman, the former chief executive officer of eBay and gubernatorial candidate that lost in the last election in California. Meg's job one was to stop the hemorrhaging and loss of market share at HP, particularly, I think, in the premature announcement that they were considering ejecting their PC business from their operations at HP. Anyway, so they quit making the tablet devices, and so they own WebOS. What to do with this thing? And finally, HP made the decision the other day that they were going to make it open source and contribute it to the open source community. They would continue supporting and donate some development to it, but more or less turn it over to the open source community. What does that mean in the tablet space? Will this make WebOS more of a contender, especially in third-party manufacturers? The HTCs, the Samsungs, these guys of the world. Will they adopt WebOS, or will it just languish out there as an interesting project that will finally die? Kind of an interesting thing out there. I personally think it was a wise decision on HP's part to open source WebOS, and hopefully we will see some companies, enterprising companies, and I think it's going to be smaller enterprising companies, not big on resources, that will take WebOS, modify a little bit, and perhaps come out with some lower price tablets. Now, the only problem I see, the only fly in the ointment that I see the whole thing, is that if you look at the iPad and if you look at the Kindle Fire, and I think Kindle Fire is actually going to be another model that's going to have a bigger display come to the market soon. is that there's two very different but yet similar go-to-market strategies with these tabs that really puts Android and alternative operating system tablets out there at risk. And here's what I'm talking about. Number one, both the iPad and the Kindle Fire are essentially built around an ecosystem of apps, music, of content. They're both built around that. The iPad makes it very easy through the iTunes store to purchase music and to get content, and the App Store to get your applications for it, and you get in this walled garden, like they say. They make money, but Apple also makes profit on the hardware. Okay, and they're going to sell X number of units, but you still are going to have people that don't want to pay the Apple taxes. They can't afford $500 or more for a tablet. Well, that also then leaves the Kindle Fire. Now, the Kindle Fire uses a modified version of Android operating system, very disguised to be a content consumption device, but for Amazon's content. Yeah, there's ways to get other things on there, but at the end of the day, the idea is to get you to buy your movies, music, books, videos, etc. through Amazon. Anybody else out there that wants to go in the tablet business, because it costs money to put these things together and get it to market. If all you're going to do is make your profit on hardware, essentially, by the time what it costs to build it, market it, etc., all your fixed costs, and then make a profit on there, you're going to be priced right up there with the iPad, but you don't have the ecosystem. And that is one of the reasons why other third-party Android-based tablets are not making it. Now, Microsoft, of course, is coming out with the Windows 8, which will be a tablet version of Windows 8, and then there's going to be a desktop version of Windows 8. Yes, it'll run on ARM processors, which there's going to be two types of tablets, an Intel-based tablet and then an ARM-based tablet. The ARM-based, and this is where it kind of gets really weird with what Microsoft's thinking. Okay, you can get ARM-based tablets which will run just Metro-only apps. You won't, although initially Sinofsky said, oh yeah, you're going to be able to run desktop applications on the ARM processor. Well, Microsoft's recently backpedaled and said, no. Just Metro apps. So you can get a Windows 8 tablet, Metro-only apps running an ARM processor, or you'll be able to get a Windows 8 tablet running an Intel processor that will offer a desktop experience, and you can use your desktop applications. This is going to be a little bit different situation. Now, bring in WebOS into the equation. This is where I think it's going to languish. I think that it's going to be a solution in search of a problem. The tablet setup. Oh yes, I lost my train of thought on Windows. Sorry about that. Microsoft will be introducing its App Store as well. I think they're going to try to do a hybrid thing, a little bit of both, make some money, allow manufacturers to make their money on the hardware, i.e. the ARM, and then a App Store that'll work on the Intel stuff and the desktops and the laptops. It's really going to be a convoluted message. Microsoft needs to hit a home run with Windows 8. I made a video saying I had 10 reasons I believe Windows 8 is going to fail in the business environment. Never said the home environment, but in the business environment. I personally right now think that Windows 8 tablets will not do well in the marketplace. Microsoft, whenever they deviate from their bread and butter core business, which is, then they're at the end of the day, Microsoft is a platform company, and they're very, very good at what they do. Their Windows platform, their Office platform, their server platforms are excellent. Generally speaking, they're all excellent. Whenever they deviate from that, other than, say, the Xbox, okay, everything else has been pretty much a failure in the marketplace. To wit, their Windows Phone started off with slow, lackluster sales and has only grown worse every quarter, not better. Of course, we all know the mess that happened to the Zune. They've seen the success of the Zune or the iPod. Said we need to have our own music player, and you see that they ultimately ended up canceling that project. I think the same thing is going to happen. I don't believe that. Unlike some pundits out there, that there's clamoring for Windows tablets. I think what does a better job for Microsoft, and may even. I think those buyers that would want looking for a tablet type device that would run the full-blown Windows 8 operating system are going to look at Ultrabooks. That's where I think things are going to be headed in the Microsoft land, is the Ultrabook. I think between Amazon and Apple, I think they're going to have the tablet market tied up for a long time. That's my opinion. I'll tell you what, we'll be right back with more of Business Computing Weekly.
GFI Software provides a single source for networking, security, monitoring, and hosted IT solutions for small to medium enterprises. GFI's extensive suite of award-winning on-premise solutions includes anti-spam, email security, email archiving, endpoint antivirus, centrally managed backup, event log management, server-based faxing, network monitoring, removable device control, vulnerability scanning and patch management, and web filtering and security. GFI also offers a suite of hosted solutions including email security and continuity, frontline email defense, and monitoring and remote management. With award-winning technology, an aggressive pricing strategy, and a strong focus on the unique requirements of small to medium-sized enterprises, GFI Software can satisfy your needs on a global scale. Please visit us online at www.gfi.
Hey, thanks for joining us again today, Sunday, December the 11th. Wow, 2 more weeks till Christmas time. We've got a few more stories I want to cover about. Anybody familiar with a company called Blue Coat? Blue Coat. Well, if you're not familiar with Blue Coat, they are a pretty large company that deals in web filtering, content security, network security products, WAN optimization, and cloud services. They recently were purchased, and I want to bring this up here, by a maker of internet, or let me just pull this article up here. They were recently purchased by, let's take a look here. Yeah. They were, yes. Okay. I had a hard time pronouncing this, but it's Thoma Bravo. Thoma Bravo for $1.3 billion. Blue Coat was bought by them recently. They're a maker of internet security software, and they agreed to be bought by investor group led by Thoma Bravo LLC for $1.3 billion. Stockholders will receive $25.81 a share in cash for each share. So I mean, this is a straight out acquisition, cash on the barrelhead, cash money on there. Blue Coat's a well-known company for especially their appliances that they make for network web monitoring and filtering security software. That was actually a pretty good size acquisition. Blue Coat's stock rose 44% to close at $25.11 a share, the biggest increase in 10 years of trading. But guess what? The shares fell 41% this year before today. So they've been seeing some erosion in market share, and you know why? Because more and more competitors are coming into that into the same market space that Blue Coat is in. So it's web filtering, content security stuff. There's a lot of vendors out there that do that and do it well, and their stuff tends to be a little bit more higher end. There's a question in the chat room I want to address in here from Linux Life. It says, I'm thinking about getting an iPad 2. Do you think I should go to the iPad 2 or wait for the 3? I've seen rumors that the iPad 3 will be out in the spring of 2012. Well, the last few introductions of the iPad takes place, in March, I think. So that's one thing. Now, of course, the rumors of the iPad 3 is it'll come with probably 2 things. The rumored quad-core A6 processor and a high-resolution display, what they call Retina display. Those are going to be the 2 probably major things that you'll see in the introduction of the iPad 3. Now, the thing is, Apple has this glaring hole now that's being addressed by the Kindle Fire, which is the $200 tablet. I've seen the idea suggested that Apple may keep the iPad 2 in production after the introduction of the iPad 3, but at a lower price point, at a much lower price point. And that would be kind of cool. Think about this. How about getting an iPad 2 for $299 in 3 months? Would that work for you? Or do you need do you want the Retina display? Because they're not going to lower the price. They're not going to come out with a $300 iPad 3. I think they're going to stay right where they're at on their price points, $499 on up. But if you don't need the Retina display, and let me tell you, my iPad 2 is fast, plenty fast for what I use it for. But would you rather get an iPad 2 for, say, $300 brand new, or would you spend $500 or more for an iPad 3 to get the Retina display and the quad-core processor? Perhaps they'll include Siri in it as well. I don't know. That's what you got to kind of take into consideration. Just looking at Uncle Al joined the chat room. How are you, Uncle Al? So I think that's kind of a good question. You know, if Apple does go down that path, that they keep that Apple 2 or the iPad 2 out there, drop the price to $299 as a entry-level type iPad, and then the iPad 3, of course, at $499 on up, hey, it might be a better way to go. I like my iPad 2. It's plenty powerful, does what I need it to do. But why pay $499 for a brand new iPad 2 right now when a new model will more than likely be introduced in about 3 months? I'm still waiting to see the introduction of new Mac Pros, which, by the way, if you watch the rumor sites, there's in the newest developers preview of OS 10 10.7.2 or 3. There's some reference in there to the new NVIDIA, ATI. The new ATI cards, which are particularly as a desktop card that they're desktop version of the card that they're referencing, which could indicate that there's still life in the Mac Pro. Still life in the Mac Pro, although it's been 15 months since the last version upgrade of the Mac Pro. We'll see how all that pans out. Let's get back in here. What else is going on in the world of business technology? iPad or MacBook Pro, come on. Don't flake out on me. Yes. Speaking about tablets and all that, did you see in the news that Apple actually lost a key legal battle in Australia where they've been successfully blocking the sale of the Galaxy Tab, the Samsung Galaxy Tab? Kind of interesting, isn't it? One of your chief suppliers for parts for the iPad is Samsung, and now they've turned out to be a chief competitor with the Galaxy Tab. I'm sure that can cause you some heartburn tonight, especially if you're working with the Apple supply chain. Turning to the chat room real quick, Uncle Al says, can you do business on your iPad 2, typing documents and such? Sure. Absolutely you can. You can get pages, numbers, Keynote, Apple productivity software. You can get a variety of Bluetooth-enabled wireless keyboards to go with it, so you can have a full keyboard to work with it. Yes, you can, and there's people who do so successfully. Now, that being said, I don't believe that was ever the real driving concept behind the iPad. Would you not agree with that? I think Steve Jobs' concept was a media consumption device, and by golly, Apple's here to supply that media. Right? That's what we're there for. Oh, you can use it for making documents, I guess, and yeah, you can email and do a spreadsheet. But if you really want that kind of power, why don't you look at a MacBook Air? Why don't you, if you need something that's got great battery life, really fast and very light, why don't you look at a MacBook Air as opposed to an iPad? I think that's the kind of the thinking in general that Apple has, that tablets are for media consumption and reading and books and music and video and games. But if you want a work machine, a true work machine, take a look at our MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. They are very nice. MacBook Airs are really nice machines. I suspect that we're going to be seeing the introduction after the holidays of the 15-inch MacBook Air. And it just makes me wonder, is the will the MacBook Pro line actually become MacBook Airs? In other words, will they all be, the 15-inch will be real thin, no DVD. I've come to think of it, I have never used the DVD drive in my MacBook Pro. It's never been used. By golly, I've had this thing for months and I don't even know if it works. I've never tried it. So you get my point. That, take a look. I think we might see either the MacBook Air will go away or the MacBook Pro something will happen there where the two will be merged together. Why not? Why not make the MacBook Air a MacBook Pro? Just rename it a MacBook Pro. They'll all be very ultra thin, super light, long battery life devices. And with the new Ivory Bridge processors and more even much better power management and more powerful and better graphics, wouldn't it only make sense? I think it makes sense. Right, but the new Ivory Bridge is going to run cooler and they're smaller and they're more powerful. So it kind of addresses itself, Uncle Al, I think. So at any rate, I got off the topic. The Samsung wins approval for Australia tablet sales as Apple loses. What is the crux of Apple's legal argument in Australia? The same argument Apple uses every time somebody else, for example, the same argument that they used against Microsoft with the introduction of Microsoft Windows, is that essentially you copied our look and you copied our feel. Your Galaxy Tab looks too much like our iPad, and they tied it up in court, and for a while got that judges and so forth to delay out. But ultimately, they lost. And I'm not a lawyer, don't pretend to be a lawyer, but I know this much, that even patenting, when they patent the iPad, when you patent a device, there's only, when somebody comes up with a competing product, at the end of the day, there's only a certain way to do certain things. In other words, you don't see Ford, GM, Chrysler, Fiat, Rolls-Royce, Mercedes, BMW suing each other to oblivion over the introduction of a new car. You know why? Because there's only a certain way you can build a car. Okay, and guess what? If you take a look at them, they all tend to look alike anymore. So they've copied the essential look and feel of each other. But patent lawyers and so forth in the automobile industry realized that there was not going to get anybody anywhere to begin a nuclear war over copying the look and feel of each other's vehicles, because there's only a certain way you can build a car. We haven't learned that yet in the electronics industry. That's not been learned yet. Not by a long shot. It's one thing for Fiat to build a car that looks exactly like, copied to every last detail of a BMW, sell it labeled as a BMW, that's one thing. But if I make a car that looks essentially like a BMW, especially down the road, as long as I don't say it's a BMW, I don't have to worry about getting sued. And that's really what's going on here. No big shock, in my opinion, that they lost this patent. They lost this case. So if you're in Australia and you want a Galaxy Tab, you'll be able to buy them. I'm sure there's a massive quantity available, as they're not really a tremendously big seller anyway. But it opens up the floodgate for Samsung to come back, because they've got all kinds of back and forth lawsuits going over with each other on various intellectual property issues. Good news for Samsung, not good news for Apple. It's a very tired way to base a lawsuit, that you copied the look and feel of our device. Didn't hold up with Microsoft, doesn't hold up with Samsung, and it's not going to hold up with the next competitor. You cannot sue yourself and litigate yourself into a position of market dominance. It just won't work, and all you're doing is throwing a monkey wrench in motivation, in the motivation to build new and competing products. Bag of Hertz says, happy holidays, Bruce. Thank you. By the way, I've talked to the Queen. She's going to be joining us next Sunday for a Christmas edition of Business Computing Weekly. So how about that? She's not been on the cams in a long time, so I'm looking forward to having her as part of next Sunday's Christmas show. They just do too much. They're suing each other to oblivion. It's one thing to take an application, reverse engineer it, call it my own, and sell it. And especially when I try to, and then compete against you in the marketplace. That's what the idea behind patents and all that is, right? To protect an honest-to-God, good idea, design, something unique. But when you got a device like a tablet, there's only a certain way you can make one. There's only a certain way you can do it and have it work. And anyway, I'm actually glad to see that Apple lost this particular case in Australia. The last big news item this week was, and I love this to death. Let's take a look here and pull this up. There we go. You're going to get a kick out of this, like I did, because if you can smell bullshit, you're going to smell this one a mile away. That's what this is, absolute bullshit. You remember that? Okay, let's take a look at a company called T-Mobile. I don't even think we have one in our area. I'd have to check, but I don't think we do. T-Mobile is actually owned by a foreign telecommunications company. AT&T agreed to a $39 billion buyout acquisition of T-Mobile to get spectrum, as they call it, to get wireless spectrum and these kind of things. Of course, get that customer base. Now, the real reason is so they can expand their monopoly here in the U.S. Well, a lot of people, voiced their concerns to their congressmen, their senators, very concerned about this merger between AT&T and T-Mobile, because that would shrink the pool down even further to just Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon as your main players in the cellular data cell phone communication space. We all agree that it was going to be a bad deal. Everybody could feel that in their bones. This just ain't going to be good for us. And AT&T, I don't know what they were thinking, but they were so confident in this acquisition that they agreed to pay T-Mobile $4 billion if this thing did not go through. And lo and behold, it ain't going through. Not to give up, AT&T is now making some serious threats. They're like a spoiled little child that didn't get their way. And here's what they're saying. Blocking this merger will lead to higher prices. If you thought we were going to be anti-competitive if we got T-Mobile, hang on to your butts. You ain't seen nothing yet. That's what they're saying. And why is that? They're saying that without the purchase of T-Mobile, our capacity is constrained. So the chief executive officer, Randall Stephenson, said blocking the company's proposed $39 billion purchase T-Mobile by regulators will lead to higher prices for us consumers. They say that without T-Mobile, the capacity is constrained. And he said last night in New York, Congress has ill-informed regulatory policy when it comes to wireless carriers. Regulators can't keep up with the changes in the industry. In other words, it's corporate doublespeak and bullshit for the fact that, one, we failed to invest in our infrastructure anyhow because we were milking every penny we could out of our customers, and we were looking to acquire a whole lot more to milk even more out of. And if we can't get this new cash cow, we're just going to turn back on our own backyard and start raising prices again. We're going to do cap data, and they're doing that now, by the way. If they consider you a bandwidth hog on their wireless data network, now they're capping you on your data. I'm sorry, not capping. No, you're already capped anyway. I'm talking about throttling. We'll just slow it down. Well, unless you live in an area like me that still doesn't have 3G. We got the AT&T story right, not more than 6 blocks from where I live, but we'll never get 3G where I live. And it's just a way of it. Take good, bad, or indifferent. If you want an iPhone, there you go. Getting a pop when I'm too close to the mic. Thank you, Uncle Al. Thanks for reminding me of that. I get back from the mic a little bit further. Pop, pop, pop. I do get those explosive P's going on. Should I get a dynamic mic? I don't know. I like these AT 2020s. There you have it. Class A unadulterated bullshit from AT&T, threatening high prices to customers if they don't get their way this $39 billion acquisition. Of course, they've got $4 billion penalty fee to pay T-Mobile because the acquisition didn't go through. On the other token, if you're a T-Mobile customer, your owners, the company that owns your wireless network, they really want out of the U.S. in the worst possible way. They want out. They're not making money or enough money, in their opinion, to keep things going. So I just thought I would mention that you might want to think twice about renewing. If something doesn't happen, if they don't sell it to somebody, you might want to consider your wireless carrier. And I know that might throw you into the arms of a Verizon or AT&T. But the future of T-Mobile without the merger is also very, very murky. Baggerhertz says that less competition is never, ever, I'm going to repeat that, never, ever any good in a capitalistic society. That is an absolutely 100% correct observation, Baggerhertz. It is absolutely correct. We are in a capitalist society. Businessmen left to their own devices will conspire against the common good. We know that. Adam Smith said that himself. Adam Smith. Behold the lessons of Adam Smith. Businessmen left to their own will conspire against the public good in order to make money. Big companies have no problem with monopolies. That's how they become big companies, right? They acquire or put out of business their competitors till they're the only game in town. AT&T is already very, they were broke up once. Is everybody old? And I'm sure some of us in this chat room are old enough to remember when AT&T, Ma Bell, was broke up, only to ultimately come back together again. Right? Didn't we had to break them up once. God knows we may have to do it again. It's like we forgot. Okay, we broke you up. Oh, geez. They're a problem again. They're back. We're back. AT&T. Finally, I want to end the show on this note today. Probably going over a little bit time-wise. Oh, yeah. And I like this. I just wanted to share it with some people here because we also talk a little bit about business. And here are 5 tips and tricks to consider before relocating your business. Okay, so this isn't so much on the tech side of things, but on the business side of things. And you know what? There's a lot of good small businesses out there. Good ideas, good hard-working people that's not doing very well in a tough economy. Lack of sales, lack of opportunity, hard to get credit, etc. That actually the solution to the problem might be to relocate. Maybe you're just in the wrong area. So here are 5 tips. This is based on an article that I found at workawesome.com. And I think it's very, very good advice. And so I'm just going to share it with you guys. Number 1, talk to your clients, talk to your existing people you do business with about the impact of you relocating the business somewhere. Some of your most loyal customers may stick around. Also ask them if they'd be willing to change their form of communication to email over the phone. If the answer is no, then you'll be losing your entire customer base. So the success of the move may take longer than you think. Good advice. Talk to your existing customers. See if they would have a problem working with you via email as opposed to a phone call or even stopping by where you work. Here's another good point. Look at the competition. As you know, a city may be thriving, have a great economy going on, and your city doesn't. So you think, I might move there. But what if there's already 3 or 4 companies that's very successful in what you do already located there? You're not going to be able to crack that market very well or be successful. Okay? I know this firsthand from a past business experience. You might do everything right, but if there's already 4 different guys in town that's got the market sewed up, you're going to have a real tough time breaking into that market. So keep that in mind. Number 3, evaluate the city. Check to see if new stores are opening and whether or not major companies are in the area. This will help you determine if the area is fast growing. Is there growth potential to where you want to go to? In addition, talk to someone that's lived in the area for a long time. Really get a feel of this town or city. Will it remain prosperous, or the rumors are that a big employer in town's on the way out, or things of this nature? You need to do your homework. And then next, check the population. the population of your potential new city will make the difference. If you want to move to a city similar to your current city for management reasons, a city larger than you're used to might be too difficult for you to handle, and a city smaller may not improve your sales. So keep a look at that. And finally, number 5, consider your current location again. If you decided moving is right for you, you have to consider your current lease as well as your current employees. You also need to consider how many products you have at your current location and whether or not it makes sense to lug them along as you move. And once you've weighed all these options, many business owners find that it's worthwhile to talk to someone who's gone through this process before. I think it's good advice to keep in mind if you consider relocating your company to more profitable waters. Sometimes that can make all the difference in the world. You got a great thing, you just got it at the wrong place. Kind of like right idea, wrong time. Maybe you got the right idea in the wrong place. Keep that in mind. And I think on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this week's edition of Business Computing Weekly. Thanks so much for stopping by. We appreciate your support when you come by the live chat room when we're recording the show. We're on every Sunday from starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next Sunday, our Frugal Tech Live Christmas special, co-hosted with the Queen. We hope that everybody comes by for some Christmas goodwill, a little bit of fun. We'll see you then. I'm Bruce Naylor, Frugal Tech. We'll see you next Sunday.